Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
I never regret that you pregnant my child, never for a once.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show in excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Leandra.
And today we are covering minute 91 of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We officially have 10 minutes left. I can't believe it, Leandra. Can you?
I can't. I really can't. And we still haven't figured out what our matching tattoo is going to be.
I know, audience, write in. You have so few chances to leave us a 5-star review about what our podcast tattoo should be. I don't know. I'd really like it to be something that's related to the show in a special way, but also that, like, looks nice. Because, like, not that our logo doesn't look nice, but I don't think it would make a great tattoo, if that makes sense.
No, I think that it would get very bleedy. Like
it would. It's too much. I wouldn't like that much, like, black and, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'd kind of want it to be a little bit on the small side, too. And I think the lips, like that line work in a tiny circle would be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, so we're on the same page about that. So, listeners, help me.
Help.
Please. Help. Leandra?
Yes?
I didn't have time to watch the minute. Can you please tell me what happens in it? I hope nobody dies. Because we already had a death last minute.
No.
Am I right?
No.
No, I'm just stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
And stupid you are.
Okay, Yoda.
No, it's like after every time we do a summary, one of us goes, and what a minute it was.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is a minute. Every time, without fail, it's a minute.
Everybody's saying this.
So true.
Anyway, welcome to minute 91. Frank stands, looking dignified, walking backward onto the stage. Janet preemptively stifles a terrified gasp. We hear a very odd sound effect of a rattle, which is accompanied by a close-up of Magenta's eyes opening. Then we see the lower half of Riff Raff's face, and he twitches with one side of his mouth. Columbia, from behind everyone, screams. Riff turns and shoots her, killing her instantly, and she falls to the ground next to a palm tree. Frank gets very spooked, kind of gasping. What would we call that noise? Like the ugh sort of thing. Yeah, whatever that's called, he does it.
Yes.
It's the sound of fear bubbling out of someone's mouth.
Yeah.
And when Riff turns back around and aims the laser back at Frank, Frank starts repeating, "No, no," while stumbling and trying to escape Riff. He bumps into and begins to climb the backdrop, but is then shot in the back with the laser. He falls to the ground. Janet screams and turns her head into Brad's chest, and they kind of hug. They embrace. Frank settles on the ground dead, and the backdrop falls on him. Patricia Quinn walks forward to see the dead body, and then a delayed length of rope falls to the ground over top of the lifeless corpse of Frank. While looking back at Riff and Magenta, we hear Rocky kind of do a scream grunt. Then the scene turns to Rocky pushing past Dr. Scott and Brad and Janet. He runs to help Frank, tripping on the sheet on the way and crawling the rest of the way to the body. He pulls the sheet away from Frank's head. In the last moments of this minute, an angelic choir is heard harmonizing while Rocky wails in sorrow, pulling Frank's head up to his chest in a protective hug.
Aww.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it is.
It reminds me of, there's this elephant sanctuary in Tennessee, and there was this kind of stray dog that lived on the sanctuary, and it developed a deep friendship with one of the elephants. And when the elephant got sick, the dog stayed as near to the quarantine barn as possible and they were just constantly together. And then the people working at the sanctuary didn't see the dog for quite some time. And then the elephant, Tara, came in kind of carrying Bella's body because the dog had died out in the woods and she wanted to make sure that people knew. And it was
Aww.
heartbreaking.
Is sad. Also, I actually think that's a very apt comparison. Rocky is kind of giving elephant palpating a corpse in this minute.
It really is. There's something very animalistic but tender.
But enough about me.
Heartbreaking.
Um, yes. But you know what I think is the saddest thing about this minute?
What about it?
The ADR.
The ADR. That's true.
Yes. It is horrible. Wow. There are so many times where somebody is making a like and it is facing them on screen and you can see they are not making any sound.
Yeah.
And that Frank and Rocky specifically, I don't know if this is just me. Frank and Rocky do that both very similarly. They make similar noises of anguish or fear, and also like both of them, it's clearly like ADR'd in later. I could swear it's the same person making those noises.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would
Yeah.
be disappointed.
Yeah. And I think that's valid of you to be disappointed, but it could be that Peter Hinwood and Tim Curry recorded those separately and just happened to sound very similar, but I'm kind of inclined to think that it was like all Tim Curry. Or maybe not even who was doing, because the grunts we hear from Rocky are not him generally, right?
No, those were also Trevor White.
So maybe they just used Trevor White for all of it. I don't know, but what I do know is that they should have not done them when the camera was facing someone's face and you can see they're not making those noises.
Yeah, that's a choice. But it does kind of segue into a point that we've alluded to, and that is that there are the second and third death scenes in this film in this minute. So, Kelly, how about you rank the death scenes that we have seen up to this point? So, we've had Eddie and Columbia and now Frankenfurter.
I think coming in number 3 is Eddie's death. It's off screen and not that exciting or dramatic. It's kind of just like, and he died somehow, to quote Homestar Runner. Or actually Teen Girl Squad. But anyway, so that one is number 3. I think number 2 is, I'm actually going to give Frank number 2.
Really?
Yeah. The climbing and everything, it's cute. It's a cute reference, but you know, I love Columbia getting unexpectedly shot in the tits and falling dramatically. It looks so good.
And she really does do a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Like her falling into kind of the palm tree area, it looks very campy but still well done.
It's true.
I think I can agree with you on that.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it.
So, a very small Sue's to Mary, a continuity issue sort of thing, happens right at the beginning of this minute. And it is right as Frankenfurter is walking backwards onto the stage. You can see Janet in Brad's embrace, already kind of hiding her face from the upcoming carnage. And then in the very next shot, she's covering her mouth, but not getting hugged by Brad in the same way. So, Sue, show up.
Sue!
So I have another thing that's kind of related to the ADR in so much is as it is the background kind of audio choices. The is this supposed to be reminiscent of a western like gunslinger showdown? There's the rattle when you see Magenta's eyes, and
Oh,
right?
that's what that's. Yeah, they're totally trying to do like spaghetti western,
Yeah,
which would
that
have been a huge, huge thing at the time.
yeah, but why? Not why
Oh,
was it popular, but why this, why now?
because it was popular, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like it was a film reference.
Okay.
That has to be why. I
Okay.
didn't even ever make that connection. I was just like, what is that rattle?
Yeah, it's as I was watching it, I just kind of closed my eyes and added doo-doo-doo-doo, woo woo woo, and it definitely works in this, and it kind of turns this riffraff moment into this castle ain't big enough for the two of us, and I don't know, it's probably too butch for Riff, but I do love the idea of a Rocky Horror Western night now.
That oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody needs a cowboy
It's
hat.
so true. And then after it would look just like an Orville Peck concert audience, I think.
Yeah, God, we're so straight.
I know.
Do you have anything else?
Well, I have a heart full of loving thoughts.
I have
Actually, go on.
I have a couple of additional notes, but I don't want
I have
to.
other notes too,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's your turn, Kelly.
Okay. Speaking of Columbia getting shot in the tits, when she, during the commentary, when she gets shot and falls, Patricia Quinn murmured, "Oh, Nellie Dean," which I don't know if that was like an affectionate nickname she has for little Nell. Nellie Dean, if you aren't aware, is a character from Wuthering Heights. She's the narrator, basically. She's the housekeeper who has observed all of the events at Wuthering Heights and is telling it from her perspective. Very interesting character, very huge in literature and stuff. So I don't know if I'm guessing just because her name is Nell, Patricia Quinn has extrapolated that into a nickname, but I thought it was a very interesting little detail. Unless, I mean, if her name is actually Nellie Dean or something. What? No, it's not. It's Campbell.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I think that it
So there you
was
go.
I think it was just word association.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like how people call me Kelly Belly or something. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I thought it was kind of cute if that's a little nickname she has for Nell.
I like it. I really like the idea of the two of them being very good friends. I don't know how true that is, but it in my head and in my heart, it is very true.
I am comfortable saying, because I have to say Patricia Quinn is not one to pull punches or obfuscate her feelings about people. And she speaks always very affectionately about Nell. So they are at least, or at least Patricia Quinn, I'm comfortable saying, is fond of Nell.
And I like that. I
I do
don't
too. I
I
think
don't
it's
want
great.
to live in a world where that's not the case.
Of course, yeah. I mean, we saw them cackling. I mean, that was probably, they probably weren't even acting. They were probably just watching that section of the movie during Toucha and cackling and motorboating each other and shit.
Yeah. It's like when we do things like that straightly.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no, I was just doing that. We were practicing. We were in a movie. It's a scene from a movie. And our
It,
boyfriends
it's
are
a
just like,
joke.
okay, we're going back to bed.
Just wash up after you're done.
And then I'm like, no.
So, Kelly,
Hmm.
this is the minute that I reference the most when I play Magenta because it's the best shot of Magenta's makeup and false eyelashes in the entire movie.
Yes. You could not possibly do better than an extreme close up on the eyes.
Yeah, this is such a gift.
I will say, I believe she changed eyelashes. Like, I think the eyelashes she's wearing earlier in the movie are not these exact same ones.
I at least think that the lower lashes have been changed.
Yeah, for sure they have, yeah. Those are the ones that stand out most, I think.
Agreed. And now, mind you, I do like having extremely visible lashes when I play magenta. So if I'm going to go with a lash, it's going to be one that's more reminiscent of this moment. And that's just because of how kind of beady my eyes look otherwise, in my opinion.
I yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people kind of, well, actually, I know a lot of people skip the lower lashes for magenta. I think it's a mistake. I know it does not feel right to put lashes on your lower, and they always feel too long. Look at this shot. They are so fucking long, but also you're going to be on stage. You have to account for, stage makeup and the fact that people aren't going to be able to see it the way that you can see it in the mirror.
And also, yes, they do sell lower false eyelashes that are already curled the correct way, but you don't need them. All you need to do,
Clearly not. Look at these.
right, like all you need to do is take your eyelashes that you were going to use for the uppers, obviously a very spidery one, and then flip it so that it curves down, not into your eye, and you're just going to bend it so that it follows the shape of your eye, and use the exact same pair if you want.
Yeah, I'd usually just pick a couple that will fit on my eye and are good. You can trim them too if you need to. I happen to have very like wide eyes, as in like they're long compared to how tall they are. So I never have to cut my lashes horizontally or anything like that.
I should, but I never do. And I always like kind of stab the outer corner of my eye, and I'm like, how is this happening? How could this be avoided without me changing anything that I do? Just a fun choice that I make.
Absolutely.
Anyway, those are really all of my notes. Do you have anything else?
Two more things from the commentary that I thought were noteworthy. One, Richard O'Brien said during the quote laser scenes, he said, such a primitive overlay of special effects. Nowadays, we could do that so easily with computers. And I was like, was that not the point? You know what I mean? I thought that it was kind of supposed to be
I liked how cheesy it was.
a little, well, yeah, like a little retro, like Frank Zappa would have called this cheapness. I thought it was intentional, but apparently not, or I don't know. I mean, it must have been to some degree, but I guess if he had had access to CGI, Richard O'Brien would have just done that. I hope to God he does not try to make Rocky Horror Special Edition a la George Lucas and go redo everything. So there's that. And then also he commented they made Tim climb those ropes. Like, so I guess Tim Curry it was Tim Curry, and he was actually climbing the set like
That
that.
could not be me.
Crazy. Even Richard O'Brien was like, he shouldn't have done that. And he said that the experienced crew people were pissed.
Oh, for sure.
As they should be. They said, as a principal actor, you should never be doing that. Because, that's what stunt actors are for. They have training, etc. Like, it was just super dangerous. But he did. So I guess there's a fun fact. I never in a million years would have thought that was actually Tim Curry actually climbing like that. That's
I
crazy.
would have thought that at the very least it would have been like a random set of shots where he's looking like he's climbing, but it's all kind of a trick of the camera. But no, it's very clear that he is actually climbing up that, and what a terrifying choice.
But those are all my notes.
All right, what callbacks do you have?
Just a couple that really stand out to me, at least. Um, the one that I kind of keep referencing as we discuss this scene, but during the eye shot, the lips shot, and then Columbia getting shot, you say, a blink of the eye, a twitch of the lips, first one to scream gets shot in the tits. It, I don't know, it just feels good to say. The rhythm is nice.
It's good.
When Rocky's approaching Frank to uncover him, you can call out to him, no, Rocky, don't do it. There's bad music under there. Or I've heard sad music. I've heard a couple of variations, but yeah, some variation of that, begging him not to unveil the music, and then he does.
I like saying for that, just because since we're on the subject, there's bad sheet music under there, since he's under a sheet.
Boo!
In my opinion, that's the right choice.
In my opinion, you should go to jail, but no, you're right. That's a good one. Um, and then as he's sadly caressing Frank like a sad elephant with a corpse,
Of a dog.
he's you of a dog. Yeah. um, I feel bad making fun of that very truly sad elephant moment, but I'm never going to not see that now when that's happening.
You're welcome.
Yep, thank you. I'm gonna say the most esoteric callbacks to when you're present, and that everyone else will be like, what?
It's just important that we have fun.
Oh, it's so true. I don't care about anything else. Anyway, but while he's doing that, you can say, Mommy, Daddy, I'm so confused. That's all I have.
I have a surprising number of additional ones.
Oh.
Yeah. So after Columbia gets shot, you can say, "That's all right, that's okay. I like warm milk anyway."
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
And when the laser is pointed back at Frank, you can go, "Shit, it actually works." Because Frankenfurter has that kind of like, "Oh no," sort of face. And then you can say, "Frank, there's a trap door under the curtain." Under. God damn it, the only time Frank doesn't go down and it kills him.
Very good.
And then I have one that requires a bit of a history lesson. And the callback is, this film was made in New York City. New York City? Get a rope. And the get a rope is when the rope falls. And that is an homage to a Pace salsa commercial and the associated ad campaign from the 80s that was truly very beloved in the United States. But then it took a very odd and kind of macabre turn in 1988. The general ad campaign followed the same story beats. A person asks for Pace picante sauce, and then someone gives them a generic brand, and they're scolded on their error because Pace is made in San Antonio, Texas. And then someone realizes that the generic was made in New York City, and the person who brought the generic sauce is looked down upon or asked to leave. In the most iconic and disturbing version of the commercial, it is a bunch of cowboys sitting around a fire, and one of them says, "This picante sauce was made in New York City." And then the other cowboys go, "New York City." And one of the cowboys very ominously says, "Get a rope." And it just, don't hang people over fucking salsa. But anyway,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. But that's a callback, and it's one that I'm like somewhat amused by anytime I hear it. And very few people, as we continue doing Rocky, will recognize that reference, and that's okay.
It's fair.
And then the final one that I have is, "Oh no, they broke my life-size Tim Curry doll, and I just figured out where the batteries go."
Oh, yes. A classic.
But that's all I got.
Okay. Well, then get the fuck out of my house.
I'm not in your house, you're in my house.
Oh no, then who's driving the plane? Alright. Now, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, so get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. I
To
don't
the late
know. Just
night
go back.
double feature picture show.
I guess I have worms again, audience. Sorry.